Hello everyone, welcome to the second tutorial class on operating system. In previous class, we have discussed the basic definition of operating system and the needs, goals and objective of operating system. Now, in this class, we shall discuss the type of operating system, which is nothing but the evolution of operating system, how operating system evolved from earlier age to the now sophisticated operating system. And after that we shall discuss different functions that is performed by operating systems. These will be elaborated in details. Now, before continuing this class, I am requesting all the students to study this subject as a storybook, because uh, many technical term or definition are already known to you for the operating system. Okay, and there is lots of theoretical concept is here for operating system. Very less mathematical approach or numerical problem is there. So to remember this operating system, you should you should study it like a storybook. I hope there will be no problem. Just try to remember the few point, few technical term associated with the operating system. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so the evolution or type of OS. We can classify the operating system in mainly five type of OS. First one, mainframe system. Second, personal computer or desktop system. Third, multiprocessor or parallel or tightly coupled system. Fourth, distributed or loosely coupled system. And fifth, real-time system. Now, let's discuss all these operating system in details. Okay, so first one is the mainframe system. I hope many of you already know the term mainframe computer, which is basically used to handle the commercial or scientific application like bank or shopping mall, etc. etc. Basically, the mainframe computer system is required where bulk data processing or job sequencing is required. Okay, now mainframe system can be classified into three types. First one is the batch or early system. Second one is the multi-program system. Third one is the time sharing or multitasking system. Remember the term. There is difference between multi-program and multitasking. Okay, so this is basically these are the evolution of mainframe system. Like in earlier ages, batch system exists, then multi-program, then more sophisticated is time sharing or multitasking system. So first one is the batch or early system. So early computer were basically physically very large, and in those cases, the common input or output will be where the card reader, tape driver, line printer, etc. etc. In case of batch system, the significance of the term batch is that here operating system accept more than one job, and these jobs are batched or grouped together according to their similar requirement. Suppose in case of bank, lots of NEFT is scheduled at 8 p.m. for salary account. So we can call it that these type of jobs are basically same, and these type of jobs will be batched together. Okay, and this is done by the corresponding computer operator. Now, whenever the computer become available, these batch jobs are sent to the execution, and the corresponding output will be shown to the user. However, it should remember that in case of batch or early system, only one program can run at one time, at a particular time. Okay. Now, what are the disadvantages of batch system? Basically, here in case of execution environment, CPU is often idle because the speed of I/O device is very much slower than the CPU. So this is the main disadvantages of batch or early system. Next one is the multi-program system. So as the name suggests, multi-program, that means many programs. So here operating system is used to execute more than one program or more than one job simultaneously by a single processor. Remember the term, there is only single processor, but it can execute more than one program. Okay, so obviously it will increase the CPU utilization by organizing the job so that CPU always has one job to execute. Now, how this multi-program system operate? Okay, so the process is like this. So all the jobs that has been scheduled or that is entered into the system are initially stored at the job pool. Job pool is nothing but memory. Okay, so in job pool, the job 1 or job 2, job 3, those will be stored sequentially, one by one. Okay, now the OS will load a set of job from job pool and send them into the main memory and begin it to the execute. Okay, now during execution, some job may have to wait and for the some task such as IO operation, etc., etc., to complete. Okay, so as we already know, the IO operation is much slower, so obviously many job may have to wait for some task. Now, in case of multi-programming OS, multi-program system, multi-program OS, when that job is need to wait, the CPU is switched to another job. Okay, and when the first job finish its waiting, it gets the CPU back. And as long as the one job needs to execute, the CPU become never ideal. Okay, so coming to the conclusion that the multi-programming of OS is sophisticated. Okay, because here the OS make decision in favor of the user. So if several jobs are ready to run at the same time, the OS will decide which one will run. So this is basically known as the CPU scheduling. Now the details of the CPU scheduling will be discussed in the upcoming classes. So right now, just remember the term CPU scheduling that is related with the multi-programming operating system. What is it? That means when many jobs enter into the system, or the OS will decide which job will run initially. Okay, so that is the multi-programming operating system. Now the disadvantages of multi-programming OS, basically though there many program can be executed by a single processor, but it does not provide the user interaction with the computer system. Okay, and the job pooling or CPU scheduling is very crucial task. So during the job pool, we need to store the jobs or data into the memory. Okay, now the introduction of the hard disk technology solved this problem. So how? Rather than the reading the inputs from the cards from the card reader, we can use the disk. Basically, this disk or hard disk can be used as a buffer for reading inputs from the input device like the card reader, and it can be and this hard disk can also be used as buffer for storing the corresponding output until the output device is available to us. Okay, now this process is known as the spooling. What is the full form of spooling? Spooling stand for simultaneous peripheral operation online. Okay, so the spooling can remember spooling can be also used for the processing data at the remote site. So again, what is spooling? Remember the term; it is very important for the semester also. This kind of very short term is important for your exam or MCQ or assignment. Okay, so spooling is nothing but to use the hard disk as huge buffer to reading from the input device and for storing the output until the output device or IO device is ready for them or ready to accept them. That is called the spool. Now next one is the time sharing system. Time sharing system is also known as the multitasking, and this type of OS is basically logical extensions of earlier operating system, that is the multi programming OS. Okay, so here what will happen in case of time sharing system, computer system provide direct communication between a user and system, whereas in earlier cases the direct interface or direct communication between user and system is not available to us. So in case of time sharing system, the user can give instruction to the OS or to a program using either it may be keyboard or it may be mouse to execute some program and wait for the immediate result, such that the response time will be short. Now the time sharing system allows many users to share their computer simultaneously. Okay, so it seems like time sharing system is almost like the time division multiplexing system, where different user can send their message signal at different time slot. Okay, so here it is the same. So in case of time sharing system, each action in the system is hot, and at that time only a little CPU time is needed for execution, and the system switch rapidly from one user to next user, such that each user can feel that it can access or it can avail whole computer system, or the entire computer system is dedicated to his use. Even this time sharing system is shared by many user. Okay, so coming to the its advantages part, so obviously it has some advantages like faster switch between multiple job to make processing faster, and it allows multiple user to share the computer system. Okay, so here the user can interact with each other while job is running. Okay, and moreover, in case of time sharing system, the OS also use a concept of virtual memory. Now what is virtual memory, that will be discussed later. Now virtual memory is used for effective utilization of memory space. Okay, and as the same processor has been utilized or shared between the multiple user, that means we have to use CPU scheduling, like memory management, disk management, security management. Obviously there will be some kind of security problem if multiple user want to access same processor, so there will be some kind of security to access the corresponding processor. So this type of extra facility should be there for the time sharing system, and obviously you can say that these are the advantages disadvantages of the time sharing system. The example of this like CTSS, Cal, Unix, like this, etc. Okay, so we have discussed basically the three types of mainframe computer: batch system, multi-programmed, and the time sharing system. Now coming to the second type of operating system, that is the personal computer or desktop system. Basically this type of OS or computer has been appeared in 1970, and they are basically small and less expensive, whereas this type of personal computer or PC basically designed for maximizing the user convenience and responsiveness. Okay, basically this type of computer or desktop is make user friendly. And remember, initially the system was neither multi-user nor multitasking. However, later uh, the computer can be connected via the networking. So in that scenario, file protection was necessary. So um if we don't give the file protection or PC protection or give security, so there will be always chance to attack by some malicious program that can destroy the data. Okay, so in that case security is needed. So this type of system is basically like Windows 98, Windows 2010, Linux, like this. Okay. Now, latest Opera OS Apple has been ported to more advanced hardware, and now it include the features such as the virtual memory and multitasking facility. Now, third one is the multiprocessor system. As the name suggests, multiprocessor, that means many processors. So where here there were more than one processor, and they are tightly coupled to each other, and we can call it as also parallel operating system. The interesting fact is that in case of multiprocessor system, we share the computer bus, the clock, and sometime memory also, and peripheral device. Okay. So as there are multiple processors, so it can execute multiple job at the same time and makes the processing faster. So for this reason, multiprocessor system have three main advantages. First of all, increased throughput. As if there are n processor were there, so obviously the speed up ratio will be n, because there are n times of processor than the single processor system. Economy of scale, that means as the multiprocessor system share the same computer bus, clock, and memory or peripherals, that means the system is basically mm, multiprocessor system can save some money over the multiple single processor system. Okay. And increase the reliability. So, as there are um, many number of processors are there, so if some processor fails to done its tasks, obviously, so other were there to for the backup. So for the backup, and obviously there will be some kind of delay, but the processor and the total system will not be halt. Okay. So it will be last just slow it down. So obviously there is increase in reliability for the multiprocessor system. Now, multiprocessor system can be classified into basically two category. One is SMP, another is AMP. SMP means symmetric multiprocessing system. So, what is symmetric multiprocessing system? As the name suggests, symmetric. That means in case of multiprocessor system, in each processor, same type of operating system has been loaded. Okay, and so that they can communicate with each other very easy. So virtually all modern operating system, including Windows, NT, Solaris, Digital Unix, are basically support the SMP. Okay, and in case of asymmetric multiprocessor system, there are different operating system are installed, and here a processor is called the master processor that control the other processor called the slave processor. So obviously we there is another term associated with the asymmetric multiprocessor system, that is the master slave operating system, that is nothing but operating asymmetric multiprocessing system. Okay. So it establishes the master slave relationship. The master processor schedule the job and manage the memory for entire, and slave just follow the master instruction. So Sun's operating system basically an example of asymmetric multiprocessing system. Okay. Now let's move on. Uh, Fourth type of operating system is the basically distributed system. So distributed system is also known as the loosely coupled system. It is not like earlier system, which is tightly coupled system. Here the processor do not share memory or clock. Okay. Instead, each processor has its own memory, and but the processor can communicate with each other by various communication lines such as high speed buses or telephone lines. Basically all these processors are connected by networking. So distributed system depend on networking for their functionalities. Okay. So by being able to communicate distributed system, so we can share different computational tasks to different processor, and obviously this is the advantages of distributed system. We can run the parallel computing here also. So here what is needed? So obviously there should be some kind of protocol that should be followed by each processor, and TCP/IP protocol is the most common network protocol that is followed. And then there are, we already know that based on the type of based on the distance between the nodes, the two types of networking is possible, like LAN and WAN. LAN means local area network and wide area network. Land lies within the room, and whereas the wide area network remain in between buildings, cities, or country. So the advantages, coming to the advantages of the distributed system or networking system, are basically they can share the resource sharing, they can share the resource, they can the computation can be speed up by sharing, and obviously there is increase in the reliability, and obviously there is some kind of communication between the processors. Okay. Now the last one of the operating system, that is known as the real time operating system, or it is also known as the RTOS. So our real-time operating system, as the name suggests, that the this type of processor mainly deals with the this operating system mainly deals with the uh, inputs from the real life sensor or the device. So real-time system, like consider the like in case of a robotics. So in case of robotics, if we use a anti-collision robot, if we want to design, so obviously there will be continuous output from the sensor, infrared sensor. Okay. Now the corresponding computer can analyze the data and adjust control to modify the sensor input so that it can never collide with the wall or the other obstacle. Okay. So this type of computer system are known as the real time operating system, where the input can be coming from the real life scenario. Okay. So here basically in case of RTOS, the RTOs control the scientific experiment, medical imaging system, and some other display system are uh, are the example of the real time system. Remember, in case of real time system, there should be some kind of time constraint for the operation of a processor or flow of data. That means it is not like that analyzing the data should be the output of the analysis of the data should not uh, take many time. Okay. So there is some kind of rigid time requirement. Suppose in case of anti collision robotics, if it take longer time to computing, so obviously before taking any decision, before making the further movement, it will collide with the obstacle. So obviously there is a time frame for the RTOS, so that before a certain time limit, the output can be obtained from the corresponding operating system. Okay. So what are the disadvantages of the real time system? A real time system is considered to function correctly only if the sensor can give correct result or correct output within the, and it another one is the only if it returns the correct result within the time constraint, within the within the time limit. If it gives the correct result, obviously the the system is performing okay. Next one is the secondary storage, like ROM or other memory device is limited to it. Basically the real life data is huge, and there is some limitation to store all this data in the ROM. That is the real time operating system disadvantage number 2. And obviously other advanced OS feature are absent. Now we can classify real time operating system into two types. One is hard real time system, and there is soft real time system. So what is hard real time system? Basically it guarantees that critical tasks to be performed on time. Okay. So we do not give any extra time for the hard real time system. That means all the operation should be performed within its limit, time limit. Okay. And in case of soft real time system, the time constant is not so rigid. So here a critical real time task get priority over other tasks and retain that priority until it's complete. So obviously, in case of industry or robotics, hard real time system is used. Whether in case of like medical imaging, there is soft real time system can be used. Okay, so these are the uh, five number of different operating system, and we have discussed their main features and advantages, disadvantages also. Now coming to the second part of this class that will be discussed, this is the basically the function of operating system. So basically we can perform, a operating system can perform this eight number of main functions. First one is the process management, second one is the main memory management, third file management, fourth input output system management, fifth secondary memory management, sixth networking, seventh security, and eighth command interpreter. Now first one is the process management. Okay, so first of one, what is program? A program is nothing but a set of instruction which was written in either high level language, and a program does nothing unless their instructions are executed by a CPU. And a process, what is process? A process is nothing when a program is in execution. When a program is in execution, we can call it as process is going on. Like a word processing program begin run by an individual user on a PC is a process. Okay. Similarly, uh, if we send a file to the printer for the printing purpose, so that will be also a process until the printing is completed. Okay, so obviously a process need some kind of certain resource like CPU time, memory files, input output device to accomplish its task. Okay, so the following activities are performed for the process management by the OS. Like it can create or delete both user system process, it can suspend or resume any process, and it provides some mechanism for the process synchronization, and it provides a mechanism for process communication. That means how they can communicate with each other, and it also provides some mechanism for deadlock handling. Now what is process synchronization and what is deadlock handling, that will be discussed in the upcoming classes. So right now just remember the activities for the process management by OS. Next point is the main memory management. So obviously main memory is the central of any operation for the operating system. That is nothing but we can call it as the RAM. So main memory is a large array of register or memory cells. It can ranging from the size of from 100 to 1000 to billions. Okay. So main memory store the quickly accessible data shared by the CPU in and the IO device. Okay. Now, in case of main memory management, the central processor reads the instruction from the main memory, and during the instruction phase cycle, and it can read or write data from main memory during the data phase cycle. Okay. So so for example, if you want to, if a CPU is to process data from the disk, what will happen? Initially, this data must first transferred from the main memory to the CPU. Then instruction must be given to the memory for the CPU to execute then. Okay. Now coming to the main memory management. So in case of main memory management, the following activities are performed. So keeping track of which part of memory are currently being used and by who, by which process, and deciding which process are being are to be loaded into memory when memory space are become available. Moreover, are allocating and deallocating of memory spaces is very crucial task for the operating system also. Third one is the file management. File management is also one of the most important activities for an operating system. So what is file? File is nothing but a collection of related information defined by its creator. We already know, like doc file, image file, PDF file, etc., etc. Okay, so the OS abstract from the physical properties of its storage device to define a logical storage unit, the file. Now the operating system is responsible for the following activities, that is known as the file management. So what is file management activities? Like, it can create or delete files, it can create or deleting directories, that what is the directory and where the file can be located, stored or located, and support a primitive or for manipulating file directory, that means you can edit it later, you can edit the directory also, and mapping file into secondary storage, you can move them, and backing up the files onto the non-volatile media. You can obviously write the corresponding file into the others media like CD, ROM, DVD, etc., etc. And computer can store several type of physical media. Basically, for the storing, magnetic tape, magnetic disc, optical discs are the most common media, and each medium is controlled by a device such as the disk drive or tape drive, which has those unique characteristics. Okay. Now next is the IO system management. That means input output system management. Obviously, each hardware must includes some input output peripheral where input can be given and output can be obtained. Like for input there is mouse, keyboard. For the output, the corresponding is the like printer, or the display. Like, okay, so these are the basically the input output system. So for the input output system management, the system must include a memory management component that include the buffering, caching, and spooling. So obviously, whenever there is for a process the corresponding output is obtained, it initially it should stored into the memory initially, main memory. That means we need a buffer, and after that we need to write them into the other storage. Okay, so next one we required a general device driver, the general device driver interface. Okay, so basically whenever we use a printer, so obviously there should be some kind of driver should be installed in the corresponding operating system. So there should be some kind of device driver interface for specific hardware device. What is that? That means only the device driver knows the particulars of the specific device to which it is assigned. Basically, each each machine or each output device has particular details that is already stored, which port and what is its maximum speed, like this. Okay, and obviously we need driver for the specific hardware device. Basically, for a particular printer, it will not work until its corresponding driver is installed into the operating system. Okay, so that is the IO system management. And another thing, that one of the purpose of an OS, that it should hide all the particulars of the specific hardware device from the user. For example, Unix, the particulars of the IO device are hidden from the bulk of the OS itself by the IO subsystem. Fifth one is the secondary storage management. So as the name suggests, secondary storage, that means apart from the RAM we can use the others storage device. So the main purpose of the computer system is to execute program. Now, this program with the data they can access must be in memory during execution. Now, basically the size of the main memory is short or small, so it cannot accommodate all the data or programs. Okay, so because the main memory is volatile in nature. That means when the power is off, all the corresponding data is lost from it. So we need secondary storage where the program or application are being stored or installed. Okay, so computer system must provide secondary storage for the backup of the main memory. Most modern computer system use the secondary storage as the hard disk. Okay, where they can store the data and program, and the following activities uh, are performed by the corresponding disk management or the secondary storage management, like free space management, storage allocation, disk scheduling, etc., etc. That should be performed by the secondary storage management or performed by the corresponding OS. Now networking, as the name suggests, we already study the distributed system where the processor are being connected with the networking. So here, to support this networking, there should be some kind of protocol that should be followed by the corresponding operating system, and the communication network design must consider a message routing and connection strategy. So there should be some kind of connection strategy and routing that should be supported by the corresponding operating system. And security, if a computer system has multi-user and it connected to the networking, so there should be some kind of protection or security should be given to access the file or to access the processor. So for that purpose, mechanism that ensure or file, memory segment, CPU and other issues can be operated only by the process that have gained proper authorization from the operating system. So that is the protection or security that should be given. And last one is the common interpretation. One of the most important function of the OS is the connected interpretation, where it acts as the interface between the user and OS. So basically, some like in case of suppose you are using Windows 7, and in run section you go to the run and type the temporary file temp, so obviously temporary file will be open. So that means it interpret the corresponding command and open the and execute the corresponding uh, program, and give the corresponding output to us. So obviously the command interpretation is all most important function of for the operating system. So coming to the conclusion, so we have studied evolution or different type of operating system and the different functions performed by the operating system. So these are the references, and if you have any question, please post them. Thank you.